Good morning. Welcome to Back with the Cereal Box. I am your host, Willow Skylor. With me today will be Cade and George. So we're going to be talking about Mr. T and Chuck Norris and their wonderful cartoons.
It's like Coca-Cola, Levi Strauss, Johnny Carson and Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse was Jane.
Let's go back in time. We can just hit rewind. What a terrific notion. It's cartoon commotion.
Oh, right. I forgot to mention, Johnny's not going to be here today, so we're taking over.
Hi. Hi, everybody. Yeah, that was Johnny's idea. It's a cartoon commotion takeover. That was Johnny was like, I think you should take over the show this week, but it's still Back of the Cereal Box. I'm not taking this show. Don't worry about it. No worries. Good to be here. Hiya, Willow.
We love having you here. And we're also joined by George.
Hey, everybody. How y'all doing?
Hiya, George.
Hey. I'm making sure to share with all of our friends here that the Fanatic is on Back of the Cereal Box / Cartoon Commotion this morning.
Mm-hmm. It's a trio show, because Willow, you got, what was it, Cryptic Crunch also.
Cryptic Crunch, yes.
So our Cryptic Crunch, Fanatic Forum, and Cartoon Commotion coming to you live from Back of the Cereal Box.
Yeah, this is kind of reminiscent of that Marvel Team-Up annual where you had, like, Spider-Man, Daredevil, Moon Knight, Power Man, and Iron Fist taking on the Purple Man. So that's what this is right now.
I feel like Super Friends coming together to battle injustice.
There we
all
go.
over the place.
And Johnny is in the chat. Hi, you guys watching.
Johnny.
Hiya, Johnny.
Guys, we're going to be talking about Mr. T and
Chuck Norris and the Karate Commandos. Yeah.
Oh boy, what a collaboration.
You know, sorry, Cade. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh well, do you want me to do the breakdown now, or do you want to go through? You want to go through a little, like you want to do a little thing?
Let's do a little thing here.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, see, because this was a really good pairing because you've got two cartoons that were based on real-life celebrities that kids were definitely into Mr. T. I'm not 100% sure if the kids are into Chuck Norris as much as the marketing says the kids were into Chuck Norris. But it is a tale of two shows.
It was a show for Dad. That's basically it.
Yeah, sort of. And it was definitely a tale of two series. Which one was the better fared? You tell me. Mr. T, 30-plus episodes. Chuck Norris and the Karate Commandos, 5.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing about Chuck Norris and Karate Commandos was it felt like they tried to make that a sort of G.I. Joe miniseries.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that I think it didn't land was because it wasn't like a pilot or an intro to a show. It was literally 5 individual episodes.
Right.
And for me personally, it didn't give me enough to connect with in each episode. It was like, well, here's another character that you don't know much about, and here's another situation that you don't know much about, and there's no reason for you to care what's happening.
Good point, yeah. It was definitely derivative of a lot of other shows. You're right, there was no connectivity between the episodes. It was definitely a vehicle for some guy. I can't remember his name. Oh, yeah, Chuck Norris, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think he also produced the show, if I'm right.
I don't think he was involved with the writing of it because each episode, much like Mr. T, was open with a PSA. Chuck talking a little bit about his personal life and kind of relating it into what's going to happen in the episode, kind of. And, yeah, I did a count on watching one episode of how many times the name Chuck Norris is said in a 18-minute cartoon. The answer is 28.
Oh, my word.
What?
The name Chuck Norris is said 28 times, and the episode I watched was The Terror Train. But yeah,
okay.
An 18-minute cartoon, Chuck Norris is said 37 times. Yeah.
So you watched
Jeepers.
the third episode, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that was actually where I got this screenshot. Now this is like their whole team right here.
Whole team right there. Yeah.
Just wanted a good team shot, but otherwise they're mostly forgettable. They're very cardboard cut out. The only ones that have much personality at all are the sumo wrestler, and I think it's Tabi.
Yeah.
And then the boy, Too Much.
Too much.
And he was almost too much for the show because he was benched in almost every fight. Like, they never used him.
Well, he was the impetus for Chuck saving him, because that was the only thing. Is basically, Too Much would get himself in trouble, and Chuck would have to go bail him out.
The proverbial damsel in distress.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, why?
Is that a police badge on Sumo's underpants?
No, that's a Chuck Norris. That's a Chuck Norris logo.
Yep. Yeah, they all had their logos.
Oh, man.
The car had a logo.
Car had a logo. Yeah.
Car had a logo. Car had multiple attachments, and I want to say, okay, so here's my argument. There's a lot of people that say things like Transformers and G.I. Joe were nothing more than toy ads.
Mm-hmm.
Chuck Norris and the Karate Commandos is a 5-part toy ad.
Absolutely.
There is nothing in it that I can connect with, and everything is just trying to sell me a product. I mean...
And it all has Chuck Norris's name on it.
I want you to check this out. This is a picture of the actual weapons they use in the show.
That's a pagoda that gentleman in yellow is handling there.
Is it?
Okay.
Okay.
That building is a pagoda.
Okay. See,
And it's a pagoda with a handle on it.
They never explain these weapons.
No,
They're
that's
just
not-
oddly shaped.
No, that's not even a weapon. A pagoda is a building. It's usually like a temple or a holy place or whatever else. They're frequent in a lot of Asian countries, especially Japan.
Only Chuck Norris can fight with a building.
Well, and Chuck looks like he's got like the jaws of life in his hand there. That whatever his weapon is.
It's
Some kind of
called the Mighty Tuning Fork.
Ooh, that too, yeah.
I'm just calling it that. I have no idea what it's called.
Well, you know what? Even though we're doing a takeover here, this is still back of the cereal box, so we got a little bit of business to conduct here before we get too deep into our cartoon discussion here.
Yes, sir.
And I apologize. I completely skipped through our normal bits.
We got distracted. There was a bunny trail, and we followed that bunny.
I do want to thank those of you who are our main sponsors or
Cereal Box Super Friends.
Cereal Box Super Friends. There
thank
you
you, George. Cade Hawkins, Eli Cash, Cindy Cap, Gracie Collins, and Dave Mattingly. Thank you very much for being here every morning and supporting us, supporting our bad habits.
And our bunny trails.
That's right. And you guys can also support too. So go to buymeacoffee.com/back of the cereal box to contribute and to be one of our super friends. And also, of course, you can also contribute to other shows on the podcast like Cryptid Crunch, Cartoon Commotion, Fanatic Forum, Cosplay Cafe, Ice Cream Queens, all your favorites on there. So, yeah, help us out and be part of the family.
Most excellent.
And that's why we pay you the big bucks, because I am bad at doing this.
Wait, you guys get paid?
You weren't supposed to tell him, Willow.
Dang. I mean, Johnny sends me Pop-Tarts every now and then, so that's cool. But wow,
does he?
You get paid in Pop-Tarts. That's awesome.
I need to get in on this program. I never heard of that.
Well, I mean, apparently you guys are a little bit doing. I mean, if you're getting cash and I'm getting food, so I don't know. I mean,
yeah, I guess that's a fair trade. I guess.
And also, another way you can support Back of the Cereal Box here is our buddy Johnny has got some books out here. The Tales of the Decoverse series, available at Amazon and Barnes & Noble here. So, gotta start with One Night at the Roxy, then move over to Night Reich there, and then also, you can't forget the comic, The League of Impossibilists. All sorts of good stuff there.
There we go. I found it.
Hey!
There's the banner.
So, do you guys have any new loot to show off?
I got a little bit, but I'll let you guys go first.
Okay.
Okay, so new loot.
Woohoo!
Ta-da!
Kind of on the ball today.
You are
so
now.
It was Pride weekend. Well, it's Pride month.
Yep.
And
Happy Pride.
On Sunday last week, I bought myself a pair of fancy earrings.
Those are cool.
So, bought at the Pride Market in downtown Winnipeg when we had our parade. It was actually it was really warm, sweating the whole time, and it rained a little bit, which was a nice cool down.
Yeah, I saw the video that you shared that your friend that's a journalist made or whatnot. So yeah, it was a really good video. Yeah.
And it's funny because telling people that he's my favorite videographer, he goes, "Well, if some videographer I am, I told you to put. I didn't even tell you to put on the microphone on the right way." I was like, I should have just held on to it.
Either way,
it's a good thing that I'm a loud person.
that's true. Yeah. Yeah, I need no microphone. I'm just really loud, so and the
Fill up
internet
the
just
space with your voice.
internet just kind of picks it up. Yeah, it works out.
Yep. And that's pretty much it. Well, okay. So I don't mean to bring down the mood of the show or anything, but yesterday I ended up picking up my cat's ashes and got his paw print. So I'm gonna be making a sweet little video for my cat Simba. Hopefully in the next week or so.
Yeah,
That's cute.
And we are sorry for your loss. So that I know
He
that
lived
pain
for 19 years, so I can't really be too mad at the fact that he did have a nice long life. So
that's pretty awesome. Yeah, our Lucy was with us for over 16 years, and so we've got her ashes on the mantle. And the interesting thing is that every now and then the cats will kind of run around like they're chasing something, and when they stop right at the bottom of the mantle where her ashes are.
Oh, interesting.
So they're playing with their big sister.
Well, they got cat senses. So, cats sense things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They do.
So, yeah, well, she was able to pass in the house because basically it was like really late when she was turning, and so basically she just passed in the house. So she's still here with us. So, but yeah, it's kind of a nice thing to still have her with us.
Yeah.
But so I'm sorry for your loss, Willow. That's I don't know, that's a tough thing.
It is tough, and it's evident that he was the loudest one in the house.
Yeah. Well, hopefully he'll still be there. He'll come by and visit from time to time. Well, Cade, you got some new loot?
I do. I got a Thundar the Barbarian pop figure.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah, I really like the sculpt on this guy. It looks very much like they came right out of the cartoon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good job on the sun sword there, too. Look at that. That's cool. Look.
I know, it's almost glowing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've got a Hobgoblin pop figure.
Ooh.
Yeah, I wanted this since it came out, but I was waiting for the right time, and this was at a video store that I frequent, so...
Far out.
Perfect timing,
Gotta love those new and used stores.
And then this is a G.I. Joe Super 7.
Mm-hmm.
And, I collect these as though they're art. So I do hang them up like this. And this is Snake Eyes in his ninja outfit. It's because he did have, like, the regular gun-toting commando, but this guy's got the sword. So,
yeah, well, this was the later seasons and whatnot where they changed over to the new toys, but yeah, they've done other sculpts of him and his like the earlier versions of the cartoon.
Right.
And
I think that was from the first miniseries, and then it was like second and onward he had the regular sort of ninja outfit.
Yeah.
I think that was how it was, because I did start the second miniseries a little while ago.
Yeah, sure. But matter of fact, they've even done Super 7's even done toys of the first miniseries, I can't remember what it was, the Mass Destruction Machine or whatever else. And there's a part where Snake Eyes gets irradiated, kind of like a Mr. Spock in Wrath of Khan 2. He gets irradiated, and a Eskimo character helps him. And
yes,
I
remember that was in the first miniseries.
Yeah, so they did an action figure set of the Eskimo guy with the Snake Eyes that's all like kind of glowing, and he has like an irradiated canister that's also glowing and stuff like that.
I did not know that. That is cool.
Yeah, Super 7 is really because Super 7 has the license for the cartoon, but not the Real American Hero toy line. So basically, all their designs have to be based on the cartoon look.
Okay, that's pretty cool though.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, I like that better because I collect all the cartoon figures, you know.
Yeah, there you go.
So it just fits my collection. I didn't really care much for the Cobra Commander they did with the scepter and the cape though, because the cape was so, I mean, like the scepter and everything. I love Cobra Commander as a villain. He's a great character. But the scepter, okay, so the scepter was cool, but the cape was like a piece of fabric like they used to be, and it was just so...
It wasn't like a molded cape?
Like, if you could have just done just a little more detail on that. Like, maybe even buttons, like where it would pin on, you know, just something. But otherwise, you know, because I already had the regular Cobra Commander, and I wasn't going to pick up the one with the cape if the cape looked like it was just pinned on there.
But the scepter and cape one's hilarious because basically that's Cobra Commander getting a little overzealous with his victory before he actually won.
That was hilarious.
Declaring himself the winner, and it's like, and then basically G.I. Joe busts in and, you know, messes up
He
his cape.
throws the scepter at Destro.
Yeah.
And he's not... he
Stop
hits
sputtering like a wet toaster!
He hits him in the back of the head with the scepter, and you hear this like gong sound effect, and he falls down because his head rings like a bell.
I know. I love it. I love it.
That was a good show.
That is good stuff. Well, I got some new loot myself here, of course. Shock of shocks. It's all comic book form here, so I'll put myself up full here.
Oh, yeah.
So, got a little bit of He-Man stuff here that came in the shop. Ooh. So, this is the first issue of the DC miniseries, shortly after He-Man was introduced as a toy line and everything else. So, there's an issue of DC Comics Presents where basically Superman, who was always basically one half of the team, then he was always teamed up with another DC hero. This time he gets transported to Eternia, and at first Skeletor manipulates Superman into fighting He-Man, telling him he's the bad guy. Superman kind of figures it out pretty quickly, then he and He-Man team up and beat up Skeletor. And then that kicks off this 3-issue miniseries. Then very shortly, Marvel got the imprint for their Star Comics line, which were made for kids, and also everything had like a cartoon property to kind of go along with it. So there was a 12-issue miniseries for Master Universe for Star and Marvel Comics. I had the first issue. There's number 2 with the Rock Lords. Slime Pit for number 3. I always loved the Slime Pit. That was a great place as a kid. Messed up your figures, but who cares? It was awesome. One of my favorite covers here, the 25th anniversary frame cover here that Marvel did with all their books. And this one got Hordak, which that is awesome. You'll get a lot of Hordak covers there. And number 5. And Cade, $1 if you can guess the name of this vehicle.
Oh, Crab Attack?
Rotar.
Rotor. That's awesome. I love it.
And then issue 10. So I got the first 5 issues and then jumped to issue 10 here. So I've got a few more to fill in there, but yeah, I was excited about finding all of those. Fortunately, coming down, that's the great. They came to me. I didn't have to go buy them.
To be fair, I've only seen like maybe 5 episodes of He-Man, so...
It was a pretty steady. Basically, He-Man and G.I. Joe were extremely steady diets for me back in the day. So,
well, that's excellent.
Yeah.
I plan to talk about He-Man eventually, but it's going to be a lot of research.
Yeah, and of course we're going to talk G.I. Joe coming up.
Yes, we are.
And was it August? Yeah, so.
I got to check my schedule, but I believe you're right.
Yeah, you're going to be on my show next month, and I'm going to be on your show in August. So we're talking. So.
Actually, I think you're joining me to talk about Freakazoid.
That too. But we haven't planned out when then. But anyway.
all types of action happening back of the cereal box, folks. Make sure that you guys pay attention and follow us wherever we are on social media. So in the chat, we have lots of comments.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk to our friends here.
Dave Mattingly says, I pity the fool that don't like Chuck Norris jokes.
That's a good combo there, Dave.
Nice, Dave.
And he's, in my opinion, Jackie Chan Adventures trump both of these shows.
That's true.
I will have to agree.
Yeah, Jackie Chan Adventures is a good show.
That was later, though, so we're talking what, years apart.
You know what? I am actually surprised that there was a Rambo show, but I'm actually surprised that there wasn't more action stars that got their cartoons.
Now, the only thing that surprised me about that was that Jackie Chan, like, okay, so in both of these shows, Mr. T voiced Mr. T,
Right.
Chuck Norris voiced Chuck Norris voiced Chuck Norris, but then in Jackie Chan Adventures, Jackie Chan did not voice Jackie Chan.
And Stallone did not voice Rambo.
Well, there you go.
So there you are.
There's some competition right there. We got some star power in these specials.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we do. So.
So, Chuck Norris was born May 6, 1945. Nazi Germany surrendered on May 7th, 1945. Coincidence? I think not.
I
That's
think not.
That's one of my favorite Chuck Norris jokes. Oh, I love it.
And good morning, Dave Mattingly, as well. Aubrey, hello.
Hello, Aubrey. Oh, we got Clyde Hall in here.
What
Good
up?
morning to you, Clyde Hall.
Morning,
We got
Clyde.
a lot of comments, so I apologize if I skip through. Yeah. Oh, Zentron. It was funny to hear Frank Welker break character's voice occasionally in the show.
Yeah. I know, that's what the thing was. If Frank Welker was involved with the Chuck Norris Karate Commandos show, played some of the villains. Was he Super Ninja? I think was the
Probably.
It was Super Ninja or Claw, one of the
I
two.
didn't look into Frank's roles, but those characters, oh goodness. We have some things to talk about in regards to those characters. But I'm not-
Johnny's in the chat. Peeked just in time to see that thunder pop.
Yay,
Excellent.
Johnny. Oh, and Dave Manley chiming in earlier says, "I thought we got paid in cereal." So Johnny gets paid in cereal. So man, it works out for him. And Aubrey is with me on Yay Pop Tarts. So yes, matter of fact, see what's in the bowl for me. I'm doing wild berry Pop Tarts. So I was normally a fan of the wild cherry Pop Tarts that are out for a while because I also really like the design. But they did away with those, and now we just have just the wild berry, and it's kind of the same thing, but I don't know. Wild cherry just sounded cool.
You gonna add a Pop-Tart review special to your show?
Ooh, that would be awesome.
Yes, because the ultimate flavor is unfrosted strawberry.
Ooh, there you go.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're gonna have some, discourse on that, some comments.
Maybe, I don't know. Toasted, untoasted, frozen, not frozen.
My favorite was always brown sugar cinnamon.
Oh, there you go. That's a good one. They have somebody made a Cremate or something like that. Has a coffee creamer that's brown sugar cinnamon Pop-Tart flavor.
Oh,
Now I got like a brown sugar cinnamon zero sugar pump thing that I pump into my coffee every morning. So
Okay, that works. Yeah.
it's kind of like an update.
Yeah,
and
but
speaking of cinnamon,
yeah,
that
is awesome.
Graham.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like graham cracker cereal.
Wait,
but
could you pull out a piece and show us? Like, is there a size difference?
From memory, I think it's about the same size. There you go, Will. I got you up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same size there, but
Okay.
it just basically to me
Tastes a little more like a graham cracker.
it's cinnamon graham cracker.
Well,
Yeah.
it is called Graham.
But yeah, I mean it's literally it's like golden grams also dusted with cinnamon toast crunch cinnamon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's good. It's a good
yeah.
cereal.
it's the bomb.
And then I also raided the dollar store yesterday and picked up some snacks and found these little happy spring rolls with cocoa.
They're like those
Happy
pirouettes.
Swing.
Yeah, they're good, and I'm gonna taste it, see if it goes good with my coffee.
Oh, there you go.
Try and use it like a straw.
Yeah, this is the new version of Will It's Cereal.
Yeah.
Will it suck up coffee like a straw? That's a really weird question, but we could try.
The chocolate's inside it, so It might, but I think the cookie will get soggy before that.
But will the chocolate melt and it get sucked up like a straw? No, but
Maybe.
it just looks too much like a straw not to ask that silly question. Come on.
Well, Starbucks used to have these like cookie straws.
Okay.
Similar type of thing, but yeah, but it would get soggy way too fast before you finish your drink. So
I used to get for my coffee. I used to get these things from, I think it was TJ Maxx. They were chocolate spoons.
I remember those, yeah.
And the spoons are like literally made of chocolate, and you could stir, your coffee and it would melt into the coffee. But the problem is that most of the time it never made it to the coffee cup before I ate it. I just ate spoons.
I'm not much of a chocolate with coffee. I mean, like a mocha thing from now and then. But yeah, most time,
Well, I would drink the coffee, but then I would just chomp on the spoon.
Aubrey's also got another comment here saying Happy Pride to you, Aubrey. Dave Manley letting us know this weekend in Louisville, Kentucky is Wonderfest, which is a fantastic convention that's mostly based around special effects and model building. And when I say model building, I'm not just talking like going and getting like a kit at Walmart. Like these are like movie set like replicas in small forms or sculptures. I mean, some of this stuff is beautiful. So check out Wonderfest on Facebook. You can see some of their pictures they've got posted, and a lot, or just hashtag Wonderfest. And you can see some of the other things that other people have posted for their pictures. There's some beautiful stuff there. But a big get this week is they have got Will and Holly from the classic Sid and Marty Krofft show, Land of the Lost.
Wow.
So, yeah, so there's I saw a friend of mine was in line to get tickets for this weekend show, and it took him like an hour to get to like at the halfway point, and it was still like a huge line. So like this is going to be a popular show this year. So that's in Louisville, Kentucky this weekend.
I will have to live vicariously through Dave and stalk his page for all the pictures.
There you go. Yeah.
Most excellent indeed.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, so it's some good stuff here. But all right, we have got some cartoons we've got to talk about.
Yes, we do.
So you guys spent a lot more time than I did on these cartoons, and how are your brains?
Well, I mean, mine's mostly full of tapioca, but that tapioca is able to hold in a lot of information. It's kind of like a liquid protein storage, so it works that way. Yeah, so my head is filled with a ton of useless information, and of course, growing up with this stuff, I mean, basically seeing it in real time come out and fail in some cases. Looking at you, Chuck. You know. It's kind of easy to retain a lot of this information because I just remember as a kid. So
yeah, I watched the Mr. T show, both the cartoon and the live action show before all this, and I'm just like the Chuck Norris one definitely is like the worst of them all. But
oh boy!
I made a joke to a friend of mine that said they should have changed the name to, instead of Chuck Norris Karate Commandos, it's Chuck Norris Bored and Confused.
That is a nice change. That would fit the show.
The thing about Chuck Norris is Chuck Norris plays Chuck Norris in everything Chuck Norris does. So there is no change in his performance. If you've seen Good Guys Wear Black, if you've seen Firewalker, if you've seen the entirety of Walker, Texas Ranger, or if you just see him in the Total Gym commercials, Chuck Norris is Chuck Norris is Chuck Norris is Chuck Norris.
You're not wrong. I just think that Mr. T also is Mr. T in everything he does. He just does it better.
Exactly. He's got a lot more charisma, and
his personality shines through. You
really
show
does.
up for that. You show up for that. Like, we got a picture here. This is Mr. T's cartoon. And, I read in, Retrofan. I read in Retrofan that they actually had to change the name from the MR, dot, to the full spelling of Mr. because the network wanted a share of that the money.
Yeah, yeah. They couldn't get it because they're calling it. Yeah, they couldn't call it with Mr. because basically Mr. T owned that name. But yeah, you're right. If they spelled out Mr. T, then they can make some money off of it.
Okay, wait a minute. This picture's messed up. Is there two Jeffs? It looks like there's two Jeffs.
It kind of does. I mean, there was like that many kids in there, but yeah, it does. It does look like there. But
I want to say this is the actual logo, and I'm pretty sure there's accidentally two Jeffs. That's interesting. So Jeff is the one with the he's got like the red hair right there.
Yeah. Now I remember the dog.
Brown.
I remember the dog was Dozer. Who's the little kid that's the Mr. T lookalike?
Yeah, I call him Mini T.
Yeah.
His name is Spike.
Spike, that's what it was, yeah.
And here's a picture from the show.
Yeah. But see, Spike was a really good example of Mr. T's reach. Because that's the thing, is that when Mr. T debuted on the pop culture stage, he was a hit from the word go. Because he was bigger than life, big personality, all the chains, all the muscles, the hair, everything. You had not seen anything like this guy before. And basically, if you saw like Rocky 3, or if you're a wrestling fan, saw him team up with Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania, you're like, oh my God, who is this dude? And then, of course, you get to hear him talk, and he sounds like a big tough guy, but he's also like giving a lot of positive messages and uplifting encouragement messages to kids. Stay in school, stay off drugs, listen to your mom, listen to your teachers, stuff like that. And yeah, he was just, bigger than life, and everybody wanted to be Mr. T. So this little kid who basically wanted to be Mr. T was every child in the 80s.
I can understand that. I think the only trouble I have with Spike is that he's kind of delusional.
Yeah.
He like follows as the hero example, but then like Mr. T's like, oh, you're doing the right thing, you're following the right person, Mr. T, but then at the same time, don't play a hero, man. Don't be a hero. So there were some mixed messages going in there, but yeah. I do understand the reach appeal. That's true. And he wasn't like a terrible character. He wasn't like Too Much, where Too Much was literally too much. He was always present. But something, I didn't actually do the breakdown of this show. You want to do that real quick?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay, so Mr. T aired from September of 1983 to October of 1985, a grand total of 30 episodes in 3 seasons. It set him up as the coach of his own gymnastics team that travels and winds up on many mysterious cases, solving mysteries together. And the thing is that they didn't act like that was a totally different gig at all. They treated mystery solving as though it was a part of being a gymnast. And it's a fun take. It's very fun, but you can see the comparisons to things like Scooby-Doo and Josie and the Pussycats.
Oh yeah.
Definitely. I think the thing that this show really had going for it was Mr. T's personality.
Absolutely.
And seasons are a strange thing also, because Top Cat only had 1 season with the same amount of episodes. And you can hear more about that on June 17th on my show next week, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. But as for T,
plug,
this was a Saturday morning show that took advantage of that star power.
Well, and each show opened and closed with a live action, Mr. T interstitial that was kind of like, giving you a little bit of a, PSA message, tying his message in with what was going on with the episode, that sort of thing like that. The Chuck Norris Karate Commando show did the exact same thing. I don't think they executed it as well as Mr. T did.
The morals did not connect for me. I didn't understand why some of the, like you were telling me before the show started, one of them was I don't resort to violence, but literally the entire episode was nothing but violence. There was no reason to tell the audience, but hey, I digress. Back to Mr. T.
Yes.
One of my favorite parts of Mr. T was the fact that he almost never used a door. He really liked to break them.
Well, yeah. I mean, He could kick him down. My favorite was the mystery of the gold medal, or the mystery of the missing gold medal, or something like that.
I think that is this episode, actually.
And is that the one where he kicks down like the door of a vault, like a bank vault?
No, that was much later. I think that
Okay.
was the ninja episode. The mystery of the ninja or something. It was just
Yeah.
It was very simple.
But yes, but it's like they position Mr. T as a encourager and a coach and a leader, but also as having superhuman strength.
Yeah. Did you notice? I got okay. So a little tangent here, but did you notice, George, that most of the mysteries actually involve some sort of modern tech?
Mm-hmm.
It was interesting to me that most of the mysteries were like, I mean, the ninja, for example, was actually a movie pirate.
Yep.
And I find it ironic that a ninja could be a pirate.
I mean, ninjas are hired to do all sorts of things, and assassinations can be one of them, but also thievery can be another. So, and of course, the movie piracy back in the day was you went into the theater with a camcorder and hunker down low, and there you
Well,
go. So
the ninja was stealing like a movie in progress, so it was a little bit more effort on his part, I gotta say, but that was with the vaults. Like, he had to kick the vault door down. And I did share a picture or a GIF of that on Twitter and Facebook, so if you guys want to see that, that is on there. It's really interesting that they gave him like the superhuman strength. I think it's cool, but it's also like the reason I watched it, because it was so over the top.
Oh yeah.
That it actually it made me it caused me great amounts of laughter to just watch this man absolutely destroy things.
Yeah.
For simple reasons.
So do you guys think that the Chuck Norris show would have been better had, say, Jean-Claude Van Damme been cast in that role instead?
Well, at the time, Jean-Claude Van Damme wasn't even a thing. He didn't really start becoming a star until Bloodsport, I think, was like 85. That was his breakout role. But he didn't really start becoming a known star until like the late 80s to early 90s. Especially like Universal Soldier and Time Cop were big movies for him. And those were, like I said, late 80s, early 90s there. So I don't think the problem with Chuck Norris was entirely Chuck Norris's performances. The problem was the main reason why his show didn't go past 5 episodes is standards and practices. With Ruby Spears was basically like, your show is too violent. Mm-hmm. And it's realistic violence like G.I. Joe and whatever else. The problem we have with that is that while G.I. Joe are their fictional military characters, you're a real person, and you are Chuck Norris, and you're not playing a character, you're playing yourself, and you're the leader of this elite military team.
Well, I think that's a good argument, because what we have here is like both shows had a pretty decent amount of violence. I mean, there were times where the kids in Mr. T were flipping over and kicking guys in the face on screen. There was no separation of scenes from that happening. So, arguably, it could be just that they had better writing.
Well, and of course, the Chuck Norris crew used weaponry. They had vehicles with, weaponry and gadgets and stuff like that, too.
Yes, but look at the weapons.
Okay, well, his apprentice there, that's... The weapon he's holding, I don't know if it's supposed to be like a club, but it's in the shape of a pagoda, which is a building. And then Chuck there looks like he's holding a Jaws of Life, or some kind of like tongs or something.
The magical tuning fork of destiny. That's what Chuck is using. He's also a musician.
Yes, and since we're talking Chuck Norris here, Andrew Milden has got some fire comments here we got to bring up here. Our friend Andrew Milden here. Chuck Norris doesn't read books. He stares them down until he gets the information he wants. And then another one from Mr. Milden here. Chuck Norris's tears cure cancer. Too bad he has never cried.
Yeah, I can see that. He can't cry.
Thank you, Drew. We love you, buddy.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh, and Johnny's making a good point here. Since I'm talking about clobbering comics here, 120 West Dixie Highway in Elizabethtown, Kentucky. Or also, you can go to Shepherdsville. Can't remember the name of the shopping center, but it's across from the Walmart. You can't miss it because there's only one Walmart in Shepherdsville, and so it's on the left, and the shopping center is on the right. So there you go. So yeah, so check out Clobbering Comics if you're in the Kentuckiana area. We'd love to see you.
Another thing about the Mr. T cartoon was that the gymnastics team could not run or sprint away from any form of danger. They were, if they had to move, they had to do a flip. And
Yes.
here's a picture in progress. So this is like they're, stretching. They're about to flip. And then here's where they somehow managed to turn into human-sized volleyballs.
Mm-hmm.
And then here's where they continue that process until they form something that's reminiscent of Sonic the Hedgehog. That's how they avoid danger. If they want to survive, they must flip.
And actually, there's actually some nice cultural relevance to why they chose a gymnastics team for the kids.
Okay, tell me, because I am curious.
Basically, the 1983 Summer Olympics.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Gymnastics were hot.
Okay, here I am, watching this show, and I'm like, for the love of Pete, why did they make him a gymnastics coach?
Three words, Cade. Mary Lou Retton.
Okay.
She was America's sweetheart. She could flip out her wazoo, and she was a champion. And there you go. I mean, she was the biggest thing. And so the U.S. gymnastics team was big stuff, man. So they needed a vehicle for the kids, some device to get them around to solving mysteries, because a little show called Scooby-Doo showed us that formula kind of works really well. And yeah, there you go. It's like, let's make them a gymnastics team, and Mr. T's their coach.
While I think that Mr. T was the better show out of the two, I really
clearly
feel like they should have had. Like, I know, maybe licensing rights were in the way, maybe, but tell me this wouldn't rock. Tell me this wouldn't absolutely just make you ecstatic. Mr. T, Chuck Norris, on G.I. Joe, with Sergeant Slaughter, an epic team. I mean, they would have made the show.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, and Aubrey's got a good question here. So, Mr. T won the toughest man in the world in 1984. How old was everyone here then? 1984, folks. Were you alive?
Two
Well,
years old?
My creator had not yet put pen to paper.
I was
My
8.
my cartoon character was not yet invented at that time.
Yeah, I was 8 years old. So, yeah.
Cade, you may have been a concept character at the time.
I'm sure there was a concept character for me back then. Yeah,
You were a doodle. You were just a doodle.
I was a doodle in the back of the mind of the great creator.
I love it. Oh, Andrew's got another great comment here. If you want a list of Chuck Norris's enemies, just check the extinct species list.
Wait, Chuck killed all those animals? That's terrible. Well, wait. Does that mean that he's responsible for the dinosaurs, actually?
He might be. Well, no,
Maybe.
because we established that he was born in 1945. So it was
Hey,
before.
if anyone could time travel, it's probably Chuck.
Yeah, good point there. Yeah. You got a very good point
That
there.
beard did mysteriously go missing sometime in the early 2000s. So
Well, you know what's under Chuck Norris's beard, don't you? Another fist.
yeah.
Andrew also comments that Chuck Norris can speak Braille.
Andrew, you got like a whole joke book out there. What are you doing?
Dude, he's giving me life right now here. So
It's like fire.
oh, and
He's just rapid fire comments.
this is one of my favorite Chuck Norris jokes here. Once a cobra bit Chuck Norris's legs. After 5 days of excruciating pain, the cobra died.
I love it. I love it so much.
Yep.
No, that would have been like the plot of the G.I. Joe episode. Like Chuck Norris would have had like some sort of anti-venom in his body that they needed to extract or something. I could see that happening. and it would be amazing.
Callie Hawkins has a question for everybody here. What's our favorite coffee brand?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, we're gonna sidebar here. I'm definitely like a dark roast kind of guy. I like coffee that no light can pass through. So I go more for Starbucks or Pete's or something like that. There is a West Virginia local roaster. Oh gosh, their name escapes me now. It used to be White Oak Roasters, but I think they changed their name recently. But anyway, they do a honeybee coffee, and it's basically a coffee that's also honey roasted, and so it's got a nice dark flavor to it. It's got that little bit of
like honey roasted peanuts.
Kind of, yeah. Basically, it's a honey roasted coffee, but the honey is from West Virginia bees. So it's so it's very nice little tie. And of course, my wife is from West Virginia, so there's a lot of West Virginia love in the house here. But,
so she's like related to the coffee,
in a way, I guess. Yeah. I mean, I guess in the same way she's related to the Mothman because he's from West Virginia. So,
oh, dude, now we got a topic. I love Mothman.
Who doesn't love Mothy?
He's great.
Good old Indrid Cole.
The good old harbinger of doom. Man, we could go all day on Mothman.
I don't believe that he was a harbinger. I think he was trying to warn people to stay off the bridge. And
harbinger of doom?
Well, he can still. I mean, harbingers are warnings.
Yeah, it's not. He wasn't bringing the doom.
Yeah, it just
kind of bring the doom.
He just told you about it. So, but they just give you a nice fancy title. So you could be a harbinger of joy as well.
Huzzah!
But it doesn't. But harbinger of joy kind of sounds a little ominous. So you got to give somebody it's bringer of joy.
Bringer of. I would rather. Harbinger sounds scary.
I think he was everybody's lookout for stuff, and sadly he didn't get his message heard.
Mm-hmm.
That's an episode of Cryptic Crunch right there.
We did touch on.
I felt like you did because of the way you were talking. I felt like you maybe did that already. But that's one to talk about.
We are. I would be willing to revisit if there's any new information about where people have seen Mothman, because apparently he's been hanging out in Chicago, New York.
Interesting.
I've got the Funko Pop. That's about it.
I got my wife the same one too, and the Funko Pop I bought was actually from the Mothman Museum. So.
Oh, nice.
Ooh.
No, I didn't get the official one. I got the one from Fallout 76.
Fallout. Okay, yeah. The official Mothman Pop is A, difficult to find, and B, a little pricey.
Oh, I know. I was looking into it.
It was a birthday gift, so it was like.
But I also paired it with a jackal, so it's got a friend.
I'm trying very hard not to collect pops because I have a couple ones that I'm still trying to get rid of.
Trying hard. That's a fun way of putting it because it's like an addiction. You start with one, you're never done.
They kind of multiply. I've toned down my collection some, but I've got a few here. I've got some in the next room, and I've got some upstairs too. So.
The camera's just a little too high. I can't see which ones you got.
Dave asks if the Mothman Funko Pop is attracted to lambs.
That's a fun question, Dave. Actually, it's in my Hall of Pops, so it's got like these big old lights over it. So, I mean, it hasn't flown away yet, but we'll see. Could happen.
My camera's kind of high up, so you can't see some of my Funkos here. But the ones I've got here, I've got my 3 Thundar figures here. I've got 2 different Ron Swansons. I've got the Duke Silver Ron Swanson, and I've got the drunk Ron Swanson with the little bitty hat on there. And then I've got my Kramer Pop, where he's the Detective Kramer. I'm a good cop. Wow. I'm a very good cop. And then I've got my They Live John Nada. He's basically all out of bubble gum, and he's ready to kick butt. And then I got my Die Hard Pop. And then I've got my 2 Conan the Barbarian Pops. Basically the... Conan, who's in his normal gear, but he's got a little bit of blood splatter on him, and then the Conan the Barbarian that's got the camo paint on him when he's invading the orgy, ready to go kill everybody.
Okay, so
that's what happened. It happened in the movie. He and his buddies sneak into an orgy and kill everybody.
We probably should get back on topic a little bit.
Fine.
I'm just trying to get off that bunny trail, bring it back.
And to get us back here, Andrew Milton's got one more Chuck Norris joke. Chuck Norris can kill 2 stones with 1 bird.
I love that. I love that so much because it doesn't even make any sense.
No, it doesn't. And Sherry Edgin, hopefully I have your pronunciation correctly there, says, yo, 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 hey, Cartoon Commotion, nice seeing you. She follows all of us. Thank you very much, Sherry. Pity the fool that doesn't follow Cartoon Commotion. Nice.
Oh, booyah. Thank you for that plug. That was very nice.
Yes.
And now...
You get some sweet friends there, Cade.
Oh, thank you. We do have some good friends over on Cartoon Commotion. Now let's see.
There's so many good comments in here.
Where were we on this show?
Well,
I got so derailed.
We did, but we basically definitely discussed the comparisons between the 2 shows, and clearly Mr. T was the better show because it lasted more than 1 season. It's 32 episodes.
I think I left off on the flipping. I left off on the flipping. So one more note on that. At one point they were trying to stop this guy from releasing, or I guess stealing, a bacteria like a virus, like the coronavirus, like a serious epidemic thing. And the 2 teenagers that were with Mr. T flipped over this handrail and jumped onto the head of the guy to try to like knock him down. But Mr. T, he had no time for flipping, so he kicked it.
Well, yeah.
And I love this shot because not only is it showing off how strong he is, but it's at the same time it's so unconventional. and I for that level of humor, it really resonates with me because you could have he has jumped things, many things.
Yeah. He
could have just tossed himself over that rail, but no. That rail had to go. There was no keeping that rail.
Well, I just love that. It's like he's apparently the coach of a gymnastics team, but he himself does not perform any gymnastics.
Oh, he did like flip once. And it showed that he could do the course, I think. But like
once in 30 episodes, one time.
Well, this was within the confines of the first season. So, I mean, within the first season, he did flip at least once.
Yeah, and Sherry does comment and say, "Why not flip? She flips to avoid danger every day."
Flip the channel, flip the page of the. I mean, I guess there's some flipping going on.
Oh my God!
But go ahead.
And let's not forget, the quickest way to a man's heart is with Chuck Norris's fist.
Wow!
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Andrew.
Andrew, start sharing screenshots of this with everyone. Just screenshot where you make the joke and share it and tag us. That would be fun.
And Sherry Edgin says, "Why jump over the rail when you could utterly destroy it? Mr. T -1, yep. Mr. T 1 rail 0."
That is awesome.
That's the thing. There was nothing could get in Mr. T's way. He was a successful pop culture phenomenon and a train that could not be stopped.
No, actually, I think Jiggy had a point to make on this.
Oh, we got to hear from Jiggy. Dude.
Oh yeah.
All right, Jiggy. What was that thing that you said earlier? I could not agree more, little buddy. The best line T said in the first season was, "You don't need a key with Mr. T." He says it right before ripping a door off of its hinges, and then there was like a jail cell door that he tore in half. He pulled from the middle, and it was devastating.
But see, that's the funny thing that kind of separated why we could get away with the violence on the Mr. T show is that basically it was very cartoony, it was superhuman. There's no way people could normally do that sort of stuff.
George, I think you just hit the nail on the head. That explains the whole thing. Because, there was a whole lot of violence in these cartoons. And during the time, they were really strict on that. So that's the only thing that makes any sense. It was so cartoonish and outlandish that they got away with it.
Mm-hmm. And of course, the kids, even though, they did, get in dangerous situations. They were never in any real life-threatening danger, much like the Scooby-Doo gang. They weren't going to be murdered or killed or maimed or anything like that. So
there were some Scooby-Doo monsters that got pretty close to being threatening like that. And I at the time when I rewatched Where Are You, I was thinking that. I was like, wow, they came close to death on multiple occasions.
Well, I mean, there's definitely some that were scarier than others, sure. But, again, they got close, but no cigar.
Well, that's the beauty of the Saturday morning cartoon, is they weren't in genuine, life-threatening danger. You could still come back to it. Mm-hmm. You could come back to it, feel wholesome and connected to these friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was something that they had, definitely. Did you know that Woody, the one boy, Woody, actually I forget his last name, but he was voiced by Phil Lamar.
Yeah, and wasn't that his first gig or something like that? That was his first. It
was.
Yeah.
And Toon fanatics everywhere should recognize him as the voice of Samurai Jack, Static from Static Shock, and Green Lantern from the DCAU. This role did not really do him any favors, but he, you got to start somewhere, and I think, for what he had to work with, he did a good job.
Well, he started on a successful show too, so it's not too terribly bad.
True.
So that's the thing. I mean, Phil. I mean, of course, he's a noted comedic actor too, because you also know him from Mad TV. But yeah, I mean, you can't do an animated series in the late '80s and throughout the entirety of the '90s and even going into the 2000s without Phil Lamar being there somewhere. He's almost kind of like a next generation Frank Welker, because Frank Welker was, contractually obligated to be in every animated series until the end of time because he's an immortal apparently. So so Frank's just in every series ever. So we just got to deal with that. So there's Frank Welker and Phil Lamar. So there you go.
What was that? Did the mic fall down?
No, I bumped my my little table here with my laptop on it. So I'm like, yeah. my headphones were attached to it. No, actually, no, just my wailing inflatable tube arm here. So I'm not.
He tried to do a karate chop on his laptop.
Probably also worth mentioning that Tom Selleck did make a brief cameo.
Well, quote unquote Tom Selleck.
Well, I think it was Tom Trenton. Trent. I can't pronounce.
Trenton, yeah, or something like that. Yeah.
Trenton.
Yeah. Yeah, but he was a famous, a movie star, and it was basically a white dude with his shirt unbuttoned there and a big old mustache. So it's
as soon as I saw him, I'm like, "Is that Tom Selleck?"
Yeah,
that's Tom Selleck. That's got to be Tom Selleck. And then I shared it with Johnny, and he confirmed that was definitely done on purpose.
Yep.
So we got it, straight from the cartoon aficionado, Saturday morning cartoon aficionado. So,
and here's a fun aside for you. That's another kind of like a celebrity was so popular, somebody wanted to use them, but they didn't have the exact rights. Issue 12 of Transformers, of the Marvel comic, had the Transformers saving a rock concert for being interrupted by Megatron and the Decepticons. The rock concert was Bruce Springsteen and the 11th Street Group.
Okay, that was clever.
And they performed such hits as Born to Walk and Dancing in the Night. And,
Well, I don't have it here, but there was another instance of this that I saw in the first episode of Gem and the Holograms, where they reference Crocodile Dundee without name, but it's like he's spot on, like image for image, looks just like Crocodile Dundee.
But see, that's the thing, is that's how big some of these people were in their pop culture reach, that you would just make references to stuff and people knew what you were talking about.
Yep.
So, some other comments here we've got. Let's see here. Oh, hang on. Oh, we got to talk. Sherry says that Jiggy's the cutest pig ever, and will he be playing his banjo today?
No, not today. He's not ready. He doesn't have it tuned up, but he did... He did do a little bit of something in the intro, so if you want to catch the replay, it was briefly in there. and he learned some new notes, so you got to check that out. He will be making, an appearance in our conversation of G.I. Joe there, George.
Sweet. Yeah.
And he might have even learned how to play the theme song.
Oh.
That would be
I believe it was the movie version.
Okay.
So that was interesting. That,
Okay. He
he
went for the longer show. Okay.
Well, he was in the living room watching that for so long, just trying to get the keys, the notes right. I'm no musician, so Jiggy, I leave that up to him.
I mean, playing the banjo is no easy thing, so I respect to Jiggy on that one here.
Not to mention, I think he's the only pig that ever picked it up, and I don't know another pig that has.
I don't either, but I don't know many cartoon pigs. I mean, it's like him and like Orson from I can't remember.
It was Garfield and Friends.
Garfield and Friends, yeah. Yeah, so Jiggy and Orson the pig. That's it. That's all I got.
One of Jiggy's favorites, but he actually prefers the Garfield segments.
Oh, I love it. Oh, and Aubrey reminds us that Mr. T also did a voice in Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. I have not seen that. So
Wait, was that him? I didn't know that was him.
I mean,
There was like a police officer that had a very funny
okay,
voice.
cool. I bet that was him, yeah.
But I had no idea that was him. That's interesting.
And Dave Mattingly saying that Phil Lamar voices everything. He's probably voicing me right now. Yeah, and also Dave was commenting that Frank Welker has 895 voice credits.
That's incredible.
895 people.
Wow.
Good Lord. Yeah, so that's... Yeah, like I said, there's some great vocal performers out there with cartoons and animation. Unfortunately, Chuck Norris was not one of them.
No.
Yeah, like I said, he always sounded just bored and confused with everything he's doing. Even he was like, "Hey, you guys handle the dignitaries and make sure they're safe. I'm gonna go get too much."
Yeah, basically that
The
was
Ludes
the whole
kicked
show.
in, didn't they?
That was the whole show. Was like so cardboard cutout and stale. Like at least
Chuck's
with
on
Mr. T,
Xanax.
at least with Mr. T, we had some personality. Like it's
Yes.
actually interesting. In the crossword mystery episode of the first season of Mr. T, we find out that Miss Bisbee, the bus driver, was like she had like a degree in science and like she's a really educated woman.
And she's a bus driver.
And she's a bus driver.
Yeah.
But the thing is like these characters actually had more depth, more things going for them than they're a team of commandos that don't actually have any, interests outside of... Well, I mean, Tabi, the sumo wrestler, stereotypically like to eat.
Well, I mean,
So-
what sumo wrestlers kind of have to eat all the time to maintain that size.
But it was just like, when are we going to eat? When are we going to eat? When are we going... That was the joke.
Well, it actually, you brought on your cartoon commotion actually had a really good kind of pop culture tie-in with Too Much and the origin of that name.
Yes, I did a short on that, and it relates to Scooby-Doo. Do you want to do that? Do you want to tell them about that?
I'm sure. Okay, I was going to let you do it, but sure, if you want.
Well, I want to
do it.
see if you paid attention, so go ahead.
Okay, well, basically, in the impetus for Scooby-Doo, when they're basically coming up with the the concept for the show and names for the characters, whatever else, a popular name that came up and was almost going to be used for Scooby-Doo was Too Much. Ultimately, it was decided that doesn't work. We went with Scooby-Doo. Fast forward many years, and we have another Ruby Spears show with Chuck Norris. And that same producer still had this name in his back pocket that he wanted to use. And so we get the Asian child sidekick who's very much like Short Round from Indiana Jones the Temple
I was
of
going to
Doom.
mention that.
Good.
But they
There
decided
he
to...
is. Well, wait, that's
Nope.
the wrong show. Hang on. There we
There
go.
he is, there
right
he is,
beside him on the left there.
And see, look, he's even wearing a ball cap, just like Short Round did.
I
But he's
wonder
wearing...
why.
Yeah, he's wearing a karate gi. So, but yeah. So anyway, so they decided let's give him the name Too Much, and then he also constantly says "That's too much" as a catchphrase. So he's definitely going down as one of the most annoying.
That kid gave himself a nickname.
I believe it. Okay, so I find it ironic that Scooby-Doo says his name as a catchphrase, Scooby-Dooby-Doo, and then you get Too Much who says his name as a catchphrase, Too Much. But see, here's the thing that they weren't accounting for. Scooby-Doo says it's cute. Too Much says it's annoying.
It's fine when an animal does it because, well, we've seen that with Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
But it's annoying when a human does it.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like an animal talking is a novelty, but a human talking is common. I mean...
And the interesting thing is that, Chuck Norris doesn't say his own name, but everybody else says it like 45 times. So Chuck doesn't have a catchphrase. Everyone else's catchphrase is Chuck Norris.
That makes sense, actually.
Yeah.
That's something they did.
Oh, and Dave Mattingly says, Miss Bisbee didn't go all those years of bus driving college to neglect science.
Science of bus driving.
And I also kind of wonder why there was no romantic tie-in with Miss Bisbee and Mr. T.
Well,
why? I mean, they're the only two adults on that bus with a bus full of children.
Well, there's this one time I kind of got a kick out of Miss Bisbee because there was this avalanche that these goons dropped on their bus to try to keep them from moving. I got to remember which episode that was, but Bisbee is like, that looks awfully heavy, Mr. T. And Mr. T's like pushing on a boulder to try to remove, and he's like struggling, one of the few occasions where he struggles to show how strong he is. Yeah. And he's like, it ain't a marshmallow, Bisbee. And I got a kick out of that because, I probably watched that twice. I probably watched that same scene twice just because it's so... It ain't a marshmallow, Bisbee. Like, it's obvious it's heavy. Why are you commenting on the fact that it's heavy? And that's what they did a lot in these shows, was like they would point out these obvious things, and it would be more humorous if you treated it as though it wasn't obvious.
Yeah, and Aubrey brings up my point. Was there ever any romance in Mr.
There
T?
was.
There
was.
Oh.
Multiple episodes, actually. I think it was probably Riddle of the Runaway Wheels. That was the last episode I watched. Last episode of season 1, where Robin, the main girl character. Hang on, I'll find her picture.
That's right.
Robin's the one on the right there, just barely obscured by Kim. Kim is the one with the ultra photographic memory, but Robin is like the unofficial leader of their crew. Mm-hmm. And she was like trying to get with Jeff. She was trying to be in a relationship with Jeff, and Jeff was like acting
oblivious.
Too good for her and stuff. He's very much full of himself. But ironically, Jeff became my favorite character in the show because he was like the only one with the most personality. Like out of the kids, Jeff was the most interesting to me because he seemed to have a lot of personality, more so than any of the other kids in the
Very
group.
true, yeah. Oh, and Dave Mangley comments, there was never any romance on Chuck Norris because Cupid's arrow snapped in half against his skin. That is true.
But, one thing that Chuck Norris show did do first, before Scooby-Doo got the chance, was Zombie Island.
Ah, yes.
Believe it or not, the very last episode, the 5th episode in a long line of episodes of Chuck Norris, the very last one, was hang on, I need the title. It was like Undead Island or something.
Something like that, yeah. Now, do you remember what the
Island of the Walking Dead?
Yes. Okay. Do you remember what the message to the kids was all about for that particular episode?
Was that the violence one?
Nope.
Oh goodness,
This
I
one
can't
was
even remember.
This one was about being yourself.
Right.
Don't let other people influence you to do things you don't want to do.
But
be
see,
who you are.
This is how much those messages did not connect with me on this in Chuck Norris.
Right.
Okay, so the morals really did connect with me on Mr. T, but on Chuck Norris,
because they tied them in.
Yeah, on Chuck Norris, okay, be yourself. Super Ninja, the second in command villain for the Vulture crew.
Yep.
Was left on the island of the undead, the Walking Dead, to die. Mm-hmm. And they all live happily ever after.
He wanted to be a zombie.
Be yourself. Be yourself, Super Ninja.
Let that freak flag fly, even if that flag is undead.
It's an undead flag. I can only imagine what the undead flag looks like.
It's got a lot of holes in it.
That would be fun, actually. Like, there's probably a zombie culture out there that has one of those.
There might be. In Australia, you can vote as a Jedi.
But real quick about Chuck Norris, let's talk about how ironic the episode titles are. So, like, Deadly Dolphin was the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
The dolphins weren't deadly.
Mm-mm.
They were hardly even half deadly.
Mm-hmm.
Target Chuck Norris was the second episode. The bounty on his head lasted for maybe the first 3 minutes. The rest of the episode had nothing to do with it.
Right.
Terror Train.
That's the one I saw.
Most of the episode did not actually involve the train.
Right, yeah. I don't remember a train in much of the episode at all.
Menace from Space. The Menace was actually trying to get to space.
Mm-hmm.
They did not come from space.
They didn't come from space. They were,
They were trying to get into space to use... And often, they would try to use things that the good guys made as weapons against the good guys. Like, the bad guys would just come in and take some weapon. Like, in Deadly Dolphin, for some reason, they had a sea lab that could control tsunamis? Like, why? I mean, I don't expect much from cartoons of this caliber, but I do expect a little bit more of a connection. Something that just makes...
Gotta tie it in some way.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. Why did you decide to make a laboratory that could cause tsunamis? Just why?
Maybe you're a real estate mogul and trying to clear some, beachfront property. Maybe, I don't know.
I think maybe they just thought it sounded like fun. Maybe they're just like, I need to surf and I don't have waves.
They went to the Gene Hackman School of comic book villainy, and all comic book villainy involves real estate schemes.
Oh boy. And then the very last episode, Island of the Walking Dead, is the only one that actually features truly what it's talking about. An Island of the Walking Dead.
Walking Dead, yeah.
And I thought the whole time, they're gonna pull a Scooby-Doo on this. They're gonna say, like, this isn't real, there's something...
Yeah.
They are genuinely fighting zombies.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, you don't even know where most of the zombies are coming from. They're like a pit.
They're there.
Some voodoo guy throws a feather in and they pop out. And it's like, okay.
Well, it's kind of like that scene in Lord of the Rings where somebody drops the bug spies are like going down into the orc hole, and you're seeing like the orcs and the goblins all digging and mining and all that kind of stuff, and it just keeps going further and further down. And it's like, and then basically they all start coming up out of the hole and everything. That's kind of the same thing, Yeah. Oh, and Dave Mangley asks us, can we think of any better use for a sea lab than making tsunamis?
Yeah, maybe like 5.
Oh,
maybe 5, at least.
That's
studying undersea life.
Putting
actually,
lasers on dolphins.
Preventing tsunamis would be fun. That would be nice.
That is entirely too useful.
You're right. You're right. Why am I thinking like this?
Come on, this is a cartoon. This is like stupid stuff.
You're right.
Stupid stuff.
It needs to be the most ridiculous thing ever, so therefore it should have nothing to do with water.
I need a laser rifle that can toast sandwiches.
Do that in C-Lab.
See, why not use a toaster oven or an air fryer?
What if the water is powering your laser?
Do that in C-Lab.
Free hydroelectricity.
Sea-powered laser rifle for toasting sandwiches.
Willow, you're starting to think with common sense again. That doesn't work.
That's some Steve Jobs thinking right there, Willow. I'm patenting that stuff right now. Get on that.
I think it was actually Menace from Space. We got to talk about this because we're talking like ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
A Menace from Space episode of Chuck Norris.
Yes.
This is a picture of a gator in a parachute. Parachuting down to try and kill Chuck Norris in what is like a NASA building.
And that's so cool. He repels in from the parachute through the window and comes crashing in.
But the thing is, like, in the parachute, he's sitting like a man. Like he's got arms and legs, and he's in the parachute like a man would be. But then when he goes through the window, he becomes a regular gator.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't dislike this. This actually made the episode for me. I otherwise hated it. This was the best part. And honestly, if they did more ridiculous stuff like this, I actually might have enjoyed Karate Commandos a little bit more.
I ask myself, why is there not more gator parachuting in cartoons? There really needs to be a lot more of it.
Well, it was like a guy that trained gators to like like as a hitman or something.
I see. Actually, Dave Mangley has a good point there. He's a pitch black gator, so he's a ninja gator.
Well, it was at night. I couldn't change the. Yeah.
No,
I couldn't change the way it looked.
Ninja gator.
He is very black, though. I mean,
See?
that is a very black gator.
Ninja gator. Telling you.
That's true. You know, and Mr. T, he wrestled gators. He wrestled sharks. The dude wrestled a forklift and won.
That's true.
And that was Fade Out at 50,000 feet, if you want to check that out.
Oh,
that
my God. Well, folks, I hate to ruin the party here, but it's 10:15, and I got to go open the shop here in a little bit. So I'm going to have to bust out of this party here.
Well, it's good having you, George.
Thank you, guys. It's been a blast. I love it.
You want to tell people where they can find you before you head off?
Thank you. Yes, I'd love to. Fanatic Forum is my show, live Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern. We are live on Facebook and YouTube, so you can check us there live, interact with the show, tell us all about your takes on whatever we're talking about that week. But if you don't get to tune in live, you can check out Fanatic Forum anywhere you listen to podcasts. We're on Spotify, Apple, Google, Who's It, What's It, MySpace, wherever the case may be. Leaf, whatever. Whatever social media platform you listen to podcasts on, everybody on the Back of Cereal Box Network is on there.
And George, you and I have to get together and do an episode on Fantastic Four, because you definitely have some very spot-on opinions with Fantastic Four there, man.
Well, thank you, sir. Yes, we will certainly do that. So. Oh,
and there's one more note for you before you head out. Andrew Milden says, Chuck Norris's belly button is actually a power outlet. Just in case you didn't know, that's where they got the energy to make his cartoon. Yeah.
And it can also charge cell phones, I hear.
It can, so.
Well, he was probably the inventor of the wireless charger, right?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, Chuck Norris is a green power source, so there you go. Well, ladies and gents, it has been a pleasure. Thank you guys for having me on the Back of the Cereal Box. It's been a blast.
No problem.
Thank
Always
you,
a pleasure talking to you guys.
You all take care. I'm going to bounce, and we'll see y'all later. Bye.
Later, George.
Bye. All right, I guess we should close up the show. Cade, where can we find you on social media and your wonderful show?
I am Cartoon Commotion on everything. Cartoon Commotion on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. YouTube is where, my home base is for most of everything I do in terms of my show. So if you want to catch that live and join in on the comments, you can do it there. We're also going live on Twitter and Facebook, but that's pretty much where everybody collects. So if you want to check that out, nearly at 800 subscribers there, so don't miss out. Otherwise, I'm going to have a show on June 17th. That's next Saturday, Top Cat. Mentioned that earlier, but, in case everybody missed it. It's going to be on Top Cat, The Value of Life. So that's going to be interesting. And then The Tick. And that's called Random Ticks. That's on June 24th. And we're going to be discussing kind of the variations of the Tick character and how it differs from one variation to another. But Top Cat, I think, don't pass up on that, because that's going to be really interesting. I think a lot of people hear Top Cat and they think that it's another basic Hanna-Barbera cartoon. Trust me, it's not. In my opinion, the Top Cat cartoon is the most sophisticated, or one of the most sophisticated Hanna-Barbera cartoons there is. So I hope that you tune in for that. Thank you for having me. It's been a great time.
Oh, no problem at all. Andrew here with one of our last comments. I can't believe I was able to keep the Chuck Norris jokes going for an hour. I love you guys.
Well, Andrew, you got bucket loads of Chuck Norris jokes. You got to send more. Post them all day, tag us in them. It'll be great.
All right, you guys can find me all over social media. I am the social media socialite. You can please tune into Cryptid Crunch as well. We'll be on next Sunday. This Sunday, tomorrow. Please tune in to Ice Cream Queens. I can't wait to see what they have in store for us. So yeah, you just share, follow us wherever you can find us and jiggy, jiggy, jiggy. Yes, I
Love this
love it.
episode. Thanks, Willow and Cade. No problem, Aubrey.
No problem at all.
Glad you were here.
I'm gonna play our sponsors.
Comic Books for Kids provides comic books to kids in hospitals and cancer centers across the U.S. It's a place where we can all work together to make sure every child has a comic book. 100% of all proceeds go towards the kids. It's about making a difference, and while they're in the hospital, allowing them to fly like a superhero, battle dragons, or rescue teddy bears. We are in every state in the country and now support over 160 hospitals. Every month, we add more.
Visit cb4k.org.
All right, and with that, I will say farewell. Have a good day.
Keep it unreal, everybody.